So it's been almost a month since the US and Iran signed their initial memorandum of understanding, signed their initial ceasefire deal. And since then, it seems to have entirely gone to waste. Iran fired on vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. The US retaliated. Iran fired on Gulf states such as Bahrain and Kuwait. And President Trump threatens to destroy Iran again for the millionth time. So not much has changed. Despite the deal, not much changed. And now, just over the past few days, the US has again just gone on a bombing campaign in Iran, striking sites such as Bandar Abbas, striking military sites throughout the country. Iran is trying the same in the Gulf, trying to strike the US military assets. So, yeah, that's where it is right now. When it was signed, when the deal was signed, back in, I think, June 17th or June 16th, many of us analysts saw that it was a fragile thing. Many of us analysts saw that it would not be, most likely, it would not be a sustainable, lasting deal. They wanted it to be, apparently. They wanted to continue talks. They wanted to hammer out a final deal. But the point is, the issues were still there. The key issues, the key tension points were still unresolved between Iran and the US. One of which, or the most prominent of which, was the Strait of Hormuz. Iran sees the Strait of Hormuz as a key negotiating tool, as a key leveraging tool in a region. Geopolitically, it sees the Strait of Hormuz as a waterway which it can close, open, which can control, which it can restrict the flow of oil, and which it can pressure the US or the US and the global economy. The US, on the other hand, sees it as a site of free passage through which oil tankers and other vessels can pass. So that issue, as well as other ones, were still unresolved. They were still there. So when NATO leaders gathered in the Turkish capital Ankara in early July, President Trump said in one of his press conferences or meetings that the deal was over, that the ceasefire with Iran is essentially over.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people.
And one other issue that has emerged over the past 24 hours at the time of this video is that Israel has claimed that its intelligence found that Iran is plotting to assassinate President Trump. Now, whether that's true or not, we cannot say for sure. Does Iran have reason to retaliate against Trump for the killing of Soleimani, or for the killing of Qasem Soleimani in January 2020, and for the killing of other figures and other prominent leaders and other leaders such as Khamenei? Does it have reason for that? In Iran's view, yes, it does, technically. But does Israel have a motive to further ignite and further inflame tensions between the US and Iran by claiming that Iran wants to assassinate Trump? Yes, it does. So whether that's the case or not, we will see. But it leads to one other point, one other issue that consistently emerges in this entire saga, in these ceasefire talks and even the ceasefire deal. One issue that has consistently emerged has been Israel's interference. Israel's interference diplomatically in the deal and physically in southern Lebanon. Now, southern Lebanon, for those who don't know, has been a focal point in the deal. Iran wants southern Lebanon to be part of the deal because its proxy force Hezbollah is there. So it's always maintained that southern Lebanon has to be part of the deal, and that Israel has to stop firing on southern Lebanon, and its military advancements has to stop in southern Lebanon. The US initially seemed to agree to that subtly, but then apparently after pressure by Israel, it acquiesced and it was no longer part of the deal. But Iran has always maintained that southern Lebanon is part of the deal. So if Iran thinks that southern Lebanon is part of the deal, what can it do to obstruct it? What can it do to sabotage it? The one thing it can do that for sure would break the deal, would be to continue its military advancement, its military occupation, and its movements and its bombing campaign throughout Lebanon. And that seems to have worked, because that's exactly what happened. Israel continued its advancements throughout Lebanon, even north of the Litani River, because the Litani River has always been seen as a kind of natural border through which Israel can have its buffer zone, and it won't go north of the border, although it has before, and it has in recent weeks again done that. So that has been one of the main issues that has broken down the ceasefire deal between Iran and the US. So until the US gets Israel essentially on a leash, until it restrains its partner Israel, until it says to Israel, look, we need to make a deal. It's in our interest to make a deal with Iran and to halt the hostilities. Until the US can do that, until the US can say that definitively to Israel, there will be no lasting, sustainable deal with Iran. It will not work.